All right. Hello, hello. This is Gimbal Labs, Plutus PBL Live Coding. Today is Thursday, the 4th of May, 2023. And we're going to see what happens. We get together every Wednesday and Thursday at 14:30 UTC. You can join us by following the links at plutuspbl.io/live coding. So I kind of took us deep into some React hooks and some queries yesterday. I'm really curious to hear what kinds of questions people have either coming out of that or from different topics entirely. So the way we start these sessions is by opening up this Miro board. The link is in the chat, and I'll post it again for anybody who just showed up. And the question is, what questions do you have? Or what would you be interested in working together on? Feel free to either unmute, share where you're at. You could drop it in the Zoom chat, or you can follow the link and contribute directly to this board.
Hey James, how's it going?
Martin, what's going on?
I've done module 201, I think, which is contributing a page. But it's still in the, I have submitted it for review or merge request.
I noticed that, and we need to update the docs because I recognize that something's not coming through clear. So here, let's take a quick look at that one. And the docs probably do have to be updated.
So I've sent in my contributor token, and I need it back to continue.
You've got it locked up here. We can see it right here. That's correct. It's for module 201, so we can take a look at that module together. And the commitment says, do the thing in 201.5. And there's a link to the playground repo right here. Just make sure that the merge request you're submitting is to this repo, because the one I got is to the starter template that's actually not supposed to change. Okay, so and if anybody has suggestions for how to name the repos better, things can be changed. Okay, but basically we've got a starter that should allow anybody starting anytime to start from the same place. And that's why we're not really accepting merge requests there. Okay, so I saw that you did have that one. And I'm sorry, I didn't have it. Look, it was a week ago. And I'm sorry, I meant to reach out to you about this. Yeah, just make sure that the merge request is getting to the right place, which is the playground.
I was sure I did that.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, it's this link right here. Okay, so the first link you see, this link is also correct. Yeah, just make sure you're following the links right here in the lesson to make sure that's happening correctly.
Yeah, I'm not following it all in the same order. Sometimes it's you jump forward and then backwards. So
exactly. Well, and there's going to be a lot of give and take moving forward, right? Because it's on us building the course to make sure things are as clear as possible. And you can see we still owe you a video right here. I'll get that up by next week at the latest. But if anybody here wants to record a demo of themselves doing what's documented right here, go for it. And the basic concept is we just want you to have a playground. And that's what you'll see. If you go into the source components, some people have started adding components here, and you can see that some people have pushed up their student pages, okay? And what this will do is it's going to give everybody just a place to say, I want to try a little something with this or that component, or I want to build a little something. And this is really, think about this as kind of your messy workbench. Okay, for just trying stuff, showing it to other people so you can play along. That's really the purpose of the playground. Any clarifying questions about this one? It's going to get more exciting because we're actually going to refer back to these pages coming soon, but more on that next week. I'm going to jump back to the Miro. What else in terms of questions, or if we were to look at anything together, what would you want to look at today? I don't know. What OS was this on? So it looks like somebody has Cardano node running, but it stopped working. Gosh, that keeps happening.
It's me, it's Linux. I shut the node down because I needed to reboot my computer to finish a software upgrade.
Yeah.
So I needed to shut it down. And then when I went to, I did exactly the same, the command I did previously to get the node to run. And that's what I'm getting. Node error while loading shared libraries.
I think that's worth looking at together. And yeah, I remember we talked about this last week. Everybody does this once. You close your terminal without actually shutting down the node, and it does lead to all sorts of problems.
I did shut down the node.
Right. But there's something. Yeah, let's find it. Would you be okay sharing a screen to kind of look at this together today?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Bear with me 1 second.
So far we've got that could be a breakout room, or we could just jump into that together. Anybody have anything else you want to suggest for a breakout room? All right. Well, I know a lot of people are in a lot of different spots, but yeah, node troubleshooting is always valuable. So let's do this. I'm just going to make 2 empty breakout rooms just in case anybody wants to jump out for any other purpose. Call them room 1 and room 2. Feel free to use those if you connect with each other in the chat about some other topics. But yeah, Dan, let's give this a try. I think some live troubleshooting is really valuable here.
Okay. I shall share my screen. Hang on, select a window that I want to share. Okay, what's that doing? Right, I'll share that one. Share. Right. Okay, I'm sharing, but I can't see it on the Zoom.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah, it looks good. I could see your terminal window.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, as long as you can see it. All right, that's so I've just rebooted. So I thought it might be a path issue, but then I don't know.
Good. All right, so let's confirm the path, right? Just show us that Cardano node has a version showing up.
Oh, yeah, hang on. Cardano. Is it -- version?
Yes.
Oh,
All right. So this now at least we can trace it to here, right? We're getting the error directly upon calling Cardano node at all, which is probably a good sign. Has anybody seen this error before?
I did Google it, but the answers I was getting weren't they were saying, oh, you need to load the library, but the library's there.
Right.
If
Now,
I
which
do,
of these folders that are in your path? Yeah. That's a good try.
it's there loads of times.
The next. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the ones, the next ones we can kind of ignore, but these ones at the bottom are likely to be fine. But let's see about that. Can you confirm the location of Cardano node as well? I can see that you have a lot of options in the path. Oh, right.
And slightly problematic there.
Yeah.
Hang on, let's see if we actually have.
What about just a more limited where is Cardano node? Might give you fewer options.
Okay, we can try that.
Okay, and then echo your path just to confirm that this one is in it. Oh, damn. Local bin. Yeah, I see it there. Okay. All right. All right. And so why? Huh.
That's what I thought, because it ran before.
Mhm. One, I mean, I don't think this is the case, but one thing I can't help wondering is, are some of these NICs instances of this file, the whatever it was called, the loc file in question? I wonder if Nix is getting in the way of that, but I don't. That would.
Why would it be? Why would
that.
it be now? Although
Right.
saying that, I did do an upgrade on. It upgraded Linux. It upgraded Chrome. It upgraded some other bits and pieces.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Have you run Cardano node successfully since the upgrade?
No.
Okay.
No,
So
this is the problem.
that's what we're dealing with. Okay. So that's actually fabulous background knowledge. Okay. You had a working Cardano node, you upgraded the OS, and now it's not working, and this is the error.
Yeah.
Got it. Good. Hey Newman, we're troubleshooting some node stuff, but yeah, yeah,
you just described it. Dan had a node running, everything was good, and then upgraded his OS, which looks like it's
Linux.
Yeah, and then he's getting this error, and it seems like it's somewhere in the Linux and the NICs, and it might have something to do with the path. That's what I'm getting.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's where we're at.
Bing bong boom.
If I were in this position, the first thing I would probably do is just reinstall Cardano node, especially, knowing that this change started upon an OS upgrade. The list of things that it could be is long. And rather than searching through that list, I would rather just start with a fresh install. But there are probably other valid approaches.
I'm happy to reinstall it. Doesn't take too long.
Have you been building from source, or have you been just downloading the binary?
I downloaded the
Yeah,
binaries, I think.
that should be fine.
I just need to go and have a look on Google at what I've got to do it.
I got a link for you for that.
Yeah, I think I've got no. I thought I'd got one. I've got one about creating a stake pool.
You can go directly to this link right here. And that's where you'll find the binaries. And then after you unpack them, it's just a matter of making sure that you place those now in your path, right? And
I should be able to just unpack them over the top of the existing ones, shouldn't I?
right, in Dan local bin. Yeah, if you just replace those there, we should be good to go. Eris,
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm wondering though, does a Cardano node, does it have like an auto update feature? I'm thinking like if something happened to, someone who's running a stake pool and they can't update the node at the time, if there's some feature that one can toggle to just have the system update itself, or yeah, just curious.
It's a good question. It's not currently built in. That's a service that could be provided, I guess, right? But yeah, it's not the kind of software that you'd have to add a lot to what Cardano node even is to make it capable of polling for changes, right? And updating automatically. And to do so, because this is such critical infrastructure, would introduce vulnerabilities, right? If somebody knows that they can just push changes to all the node installations that are running stake pools across the globe, they're going to try to figure out how to do that. I forget what the service was called. I was talking to somebody a few weeks ago. I think it was in one of these live coding sessions, who mentioned a tool that is allowing us to at least download a ledger state without taking it directly from, syncing a node from scratch. And right, if you think about it, the concept is, okay, if there's, call it a multi-gigabyte file that represents everything in the blockchain up to yesterday, or whatever regular snapshot, downloading that from a central server with high bandwidth is going to be faster than syncing my own node from scratch. And it doesn't take that long to download several gigs from one source. But you then have to validate that against the node, and there's a little bit of learning to do there, but it certainly is a time saver. And it raises the question, okay, if that's possible, should we use that option? No, not even DB Sync. No, it's just a stake pool operator started offering this thing. I forget what they called it, but yeah, it's a community site, right? This is, and similar to the possibility of automatically updating your node version on the machine that's running your node, I can imagine a cloud-based service that maybe allows you to if somebody's right, obviously, if somebody else is supporting you to run your node, you're outsourcing to them the updating of the node software. So I could imagine something where it's like, yeah, maybe you get a web interface to manage your node, but it's updated. But any version of that is taking the operator a degree away from control of running the thing, which is probably not in the best interests of the network as a whole. All right. Well, so Dan, you've got a game plan there, and if that
Yeah,
you could take us back to that maybe after installing that.
I'll have a go. I'm just struggling to get the thing to unpack where I want it to.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly frustrating. That's right, but yeah, like that's let me know. We can keep looking at any part of that process when you get stuck again. But what else? I know people have been having ideas, or I know people are stuck on something. What's everybody working on right now? What do you want to work on?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you were using Next.js, I have, where you have like muesli swap, where you have two fields which update each other. And well, if you would want to recreate that in Next.js, one field would update another, but that would create a continuous loop in Next.js. Do you know how to work with that? Or
So you're saying a form, let's suppose we have a form with two fields, right? One is like a quantity of one currency and another is another, something like that.
yeah,
And you want to be able to type into either one of them, and whichever one I'm not typing into, the other one is going to update automatically as I type.
yeah.
Ooh. Should we try to build that? Can we build that in 64 minutes?
I don't know. But the question is, once the other field gets updated, so Next.js says, oh, it gets updated. Let's run it again. So
right.
you get in this loop, which I don't know really how to fix.
That's right. Well, okay. So think about, I'd be thrilled to, I love playing around with stuff like this. So yeah, we could do that. But let's think architecturally for just a moment without even looking at it. All right. Try to visualize this. You're starting to understand the concept of use state. All right. So I could make a use state hook for each of those two fields. Okay. Value input 1 and value input 2. Right. And then I can set up two separate use effects. Whenever input 1 changes, it can fire a change to input 2. And then we could have a separate use effect where the roles are swapped. However, this is where this gets us to your problem, right? If we're saying, well, change every time 1 changes and 1 changes 2, and that triggers changing back 1, here we are. Okay.
Yeah.
We would need to introduce something else that maybe track, instead of like in that dependency array of the use effect, we wouldn't want to be looking at the input value directly. right? That's really the source of the infinite, of this infinite loop. So we would want to maybe create a switch of some kind that turned on and off when one of those fields was actually being, was highlighted by the user or somehow activated by the user. And only when that switch is toggled one way or another are the changes from one field to another flowing in that direction. Does that concept make sense of maybe creating a little toggle for ourselves?
Yeah, in principle, but not in practice.
Okay, so now let's try to practice it. Yeah, and David, I wasn't sharing anything there for just a moment, just because I wanted to kind of like think about that before jumping in. Let's just play. Let's see if we can get this to work. And let's do it like this. Just thinking. All right. And you know what? I'm going to use the playground to do this. So this can also be a demo a little bit of that lesson we were just talking about at the end of 201. So let me share a screen. All right. So I have the PPBL 2023 playground here. I got to pull the latest. Might have been a little while since I've done that. All right. Oops. Make sure I'm up to date. Maybe some people had some packages along the way. And then if I say yarn dev, let's see what localhost looks like now. Cool. So here's the playground. It's not pretty, but this is our playground. We can mess around with it however we want. So anybody who wants to just put some zany stuff on the index page or start to build your own, you have the ability to do that. Okay, so you can see these are there's just a little bit here to start people playing around with some stuff. I'll make an additional route here. And let's just call this one, let's see, source. I want this to be in pages. Students. Let me make a new folder called Live Coding Demos. And we'll just make an index here for now. And because I'm not interested in trying too hard, I'm just going to copy this code right here from the other index, put this here, but just rip out everything from inside of this. Okay. And so here we will have maybe a heading, forms, demo. All right. And so this should be, if I go to localhost /live-coding-demos, I'm going to see the empty page that I just initialized. And whatever we get to today, I'll push these changes to the playground right after this call. Okay. So I didn't even add any padding or margin to this box. Off screen, I'll do that and I'll take us right back here. So I'm going to make the width of this thing. Here, I'll show you. let's just make the width 90% to bring it in a little bit, and we'll set the margins automatic horizontally, and we'll add a little bit of margin at the top. Whoops. And then at least, all right, there's a little space for us right there. And what we would like to do is we have something like this. Form experiments. All right. So here I just made a little box for us off screen, and we're going to work into this component right here, form experiments. That empty component, it looks like this for now. Now, one thing here, we don't need to look at this. One thing to know about the playground is it comes with all the dependencies that are actually already part of the front end of this course. Oops. It looks like my screen share is lagging a little bit. There we go. Okay, so right here, for example, you can see that Formic is already installed in this project. And so at least we can, whoa, that's too big. At least we can rely on Formic to help us with some basic form stuff. So I'll definitely want to use that. But once again, so I don't have to start from scratch, let me think about where in the course there is a form. And I know, for example, that right away in module 100, for example, there's the minting form for your contributor token. And this sets up a Formic. So here, I have this boilerplate. I'm going to use it to just initialize a form. If in VS Code, for example, if I have an input that's not imported yet, one thing you can always do is use this quick fix right here. So if I click on quick fix, it says add import from Formic, and I'll say, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And it takes care of it for me. So we're going to have this Formic, but there's going to be two values, and we'll just call this one value 1 and value 2. Okay. And right on submit now. I want to destructure that. Value 2. All right. And we'll use that. I'll change that alert in just a second. So now let's also look, how is that form used again? Well, there's all sorts of chakra form stuff down here. Okay, so it's wrapped in a form control. There's a button down below that. But let me just grab this form control stuff as well. And let's see here. My values are now called value 1 and value 2. So let's use that name. And I also need to make sure the ID and the name, whoops, value 1. And then you can see I have a bunch of imports here that are not imported yet from Chakra. Let's just make sure to get all those. Once again, I could just mouse over and do the quick fix. But let's just also type them in here. Autocomplete works really nicely. And we can see these errors disappear one by one as I get my imports right. Form helper text. Helper text. Okay. Good. So there's no errors yet. Let's make another input. We'll do label, input, and helper text all at once. And we'll just change the second one to value 2. So this is going to be value 2, and value 1. I'll skip the helper text. All right. So there's a form. You can see it in my front end here. I could type into both of these. That's fine. I probably want a button. All right, let's add a button. That needs to be imported as well. Oh, yeah, right. Right. And then there's a really convenient thing with Chakra that just allows us to say color scheme. And you can look at the color, you can look at the Chakra docs, but like there's a bunch of colors that are standard colors. And so now I have a green button right here, submit form. It doesn't do anything yet. To make it do something, I would have to add an on click. Like this, for example. And one thing I can do is I can put an arrow function inside of there. And we could make this say like alert, and it could say value 1. No, it would have to say formic dot values dot value 1. Right. Let's go over there, see if that works. So if I submit this form, you can see whatever I typed into value 1 is showing up in my alert. I'll try it again. And there it is. If I want to see both of those, of course, I can just add both of those to the alert. I could say where values are. Can you see my VS Code right now? No, sorry, it's not updating when I move between screens as fast as I want it to. I'm not sure why, everybody. There we go. Sorry. I could say your values are plus this and plus this. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because it's really convenient. Oh, I need a plus sign there. There we go. It's really convenient how hooks work, especially third-party hooks. You've started to see this with mesh. You saw it a little bit yesterday with GraphQL queries. We were using the Apollo hooks. And in a similar way, the formic hooks, everything about dynamic updating of content is provided for us because these hooks are provided. All right, so I can fill in a form and then immediately I can see these values, for example, in an alert. And that's just one example. We'll look at another one in just a second. But here, let me just type, 2 different strings, live coding. And now if I submit this form, here we go. Your values are PPBL and live coding. All right. But of course, it doesn't have to stop with alerts because of the fact that these are hooks. And I'm just waiting for my screen to catch up. I'm not sure why this is moving so slow. It's weird. Okay. Right. So yeah, I can put those values in an alert, but it's actually even more interesting to go outside of the form. And let's make a new box down here. And let's put just these responses here. So I'm just going to write some big text. Let's make it really big. 4XL. Okay. And in this one, I'm going to put formic dot values dot value 1, and the next one 2. And right, again, this is only because of the magic of hooks. If I take this over to my front end now, and I start to type in these boxes, right, you see how it updates automatically down below. And I think at this point, we're halfway to what Martin is talking about, right? If I can update what I'm typing into this form field and it can update somewhere else on the page, it should follow that I'll be able to somehow update one to the other. All right, but how? Right? I don't want to just put these values directly in. Could I use this placeholder? What about this? What if, actually, it might be this simple, I'm not sure. What if the placeholder for value 1 was value 2 and vice versa? I don't think that's going to work, but I'm kind of curious. Yeah, no, that doesn't quite do it. And that's probably good that it doesn't. Okay. It's bizarre. Whenever I move to the side of the screen, it's not updating. Sorry, everybody. All right, and let's just change this is just a string now. All right. So I would like the value of each of these to change under certain conditions, but there's a lot going on already. So, oh, and by the way, so the on change, right? Every time the text here changes, this formic handle change is what's basically pushing it directly to the value, right? But if I want to use this convenience, it might limit my options. All right, this is where I want to look at the formic docs. Let's just see a little, let's figure out how handle change works. I'm curious about set values and set field values. Like, is there a way that maybe I can combine the handle change that's happening directly in a field with maybe one of these functions? So the next thing I'd like to do is just search for this. What does set field value do? That's the same docs. Yeah, let's try the API docs. set the value of a field imperatively. Field should match the key of values you wish to update. Good. Useful for creating custom input change handlers. This might be exactly what I want. Let's try this. So what I'm gonna do, because I can, where's handle change? That's not it. Let's try something. Handle change is one of the things I want to do. But I also want to experiment with setting the field value. I don't know if that's going to do the job, but I want to create a space where I can test it. So I'm going to create a separate helper function here. We'll just call this handle input changes. And it's going to include formic dot handle change. And now, well, the first thing I want to do is just say, okay, does that work the same way? All right. And to confirm that this still works, let me go back to the project and just make sure when I type here, oh, it's not working anymore. Okay, that doesn't work. Not now. That breaks it because it takes formic out of its context. This one still works because I didn't change that one. But this one doesn't. All right. All right, so we're back to the old way here. I tried making it an async function and an arrow here, but that's not working yet. Okay, so yeah, what do you even call, like, what do you search? What do you search for? What do you ask an AI bot for help with to accomplish what Martin's describing?
It's a good one,
What's that called?
huh? Mutually changing fields in Formic. I don't know.
It's basically like, so right here, this this value,
You can do field set value somehow.
now where do I call it? So now I want to see an example, I guess, of this function in action. String value, right? That field value. Okay. Dependent fields. How to set the value of one field based on the current values of others. That's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Oh, how did you find that?
Ah, look at that. If you type into, okay, so this is the example we want. All right, I'm in the docs, I'm in examples, dependent fields. Cool. How does it work?
Oh. Yeah, there's the set field value.
Use
something.
formic context. Okay, so we're using, so use formic gives us kind of a straightforward, simple version out of the box. But to get this functionality, we have to use some different hooks that I didn't know existed. Use field and use formic context. This is great. And so now we say, okay, the values of this thing and that thing. Look, touched, this is what I was describing before sharing a screen, right? We need something to help us know if an input has been touched, right? Actually clicked on by the user. And then here's that set field value function that we found in the docs earlier. Okay, so these are all the concepts we're going to use. And then we're going to use this use field hook provided by Formic. We're going to have to learn about that, figure out exactly what field and meta are. Oh, meta is the state of the field. Excellent. Has it been touched or is it in some error state? Cool. And look at how we are defining a helper component. This my field component is separate from the app, but it's accessed inside the form down here. Where are we going to find that? My field, text C is my field, but the first two, okay. So this is showing us like a one directional feeding of information, right? So fields A and B can update C, but not vice versa. But this will get us halfway there. It says if both fields have been touched, then we set the value of props.name. So we're passing a property called name to my field. Can we see it down here? Yeah, right, text C. And that's what we expected. That's the name of the field we are initializing. It's not initialized. Can I type into it independently if I want to? Yes, I can. Okay. But it changes. All right, this is half of what we need. All right, let's try some of this. I'm going to copy this component and bring it into our playground. And we'll tweak it a little bit. So outside of the full page component, I'm actually rendering. Here's my helper component above that. And I imported use effects directly. I don't need the React right there. Oh no, I didn't bring that in yet. Okay. And I need to bring these new ones in from Formic. Use Formic context and use field. And because I'm using TypeScript, I have to add a little bit to help with this props bit right there. We'll take care of that. And these unknown. All right, we'll come back to that too. Yeah, okay. Okay. Let's deal with the props first. Actually, I think I have an example here. No, there's no props in there. I know I've got some props. Here. I'm just checking the syntax. Okay, so yeah, to handle props in TypeScript, you have to define what your props are, and then you have to define the type more like this. So let's just grab that line. We're going to make this one look like that. You can see I just got to add this bit. And then we got to define what those props actually are. It looks like this. Get rid of this. Props are simply going to be name. Start with name for now. And then because this is already destructured here, instead of using props.name, I can use target field name. And we'll come back around to this in just a second. Return. All right, first of all, I don't care about text B. I'm just going to have one value to start. Use field. Hold prop. We're going to pass that over. Okay, but we don't need text B. Touched is good. Input. All right, it's more okay with that. But text B, I can get rid of. So it's still wondering what text A is, but that's because that's going to be passed along. So I'm going to keep pulling from my off screen. Oh, I see. There's a couple more things I haven't imported yet. Formic, field, and form. Let's use these for now, and then we'll come back around to styling this. Maybe I can get away without use formic. And now I'm just going to grab some stuff from here and drop it into my app a little bit at a time. So for example, let's get rid of use formic. We'll fix that as we go. Let's keep some initial values like this. And I removed text B above. I'm going to have text A and text B now. Okay, so text B is what I'll pass to my dependent form in the first place. And then again, just from off screen, instead of building the form this way, I'm just going to comment this out for now. We can do it the way we're shown in that dependent fields example. So what is this thing? I now have a formic component that takes some initial values, for example, like these. And all right, in this case, it once again is just going to give us an alert of those values on submission. That's good. And formic exposes this form component. And I'll just use the pattern they're showing us. Let's pull this form up here. I know I can use that button. It wants me to say, like, submit. Oh, that's why. Try this. Okay. All right, so now here I got a really ugly form, but I've got text A and text B, and I can enter text into both of those, and an alert shows me that that input is working. Okay. So we made it that far. Now let's use the logic in this example to make it so that so if I'm going to change text B to a my field object, and it needs to have a prop called target field name, which is going to be text B now. Let's see if that works. So if I type into, okay, so we're making progress. You see what just happened? This might be small. If I type into this box and I leave it, I get that value in text B. So we're getting there. But let's see. I don't necessarily. So two things. First of all, I don't care about having that additional label. I don't want to see this part right here, text A. I'm going to get rid of that. And that means I can also get rid of this backtick and brackets stuff. I just wanted to say text A. All right. And so now if I jump back over here and I type, there we go.
Hey,
Hey, how's that look?
that's a start. Yeah.
It's going one direction. Now, two directions. How are we going to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's getting exciting.
All right, we got it going one way. We still have an error. I don't know why it doesn't like Formic touched. Where's Formic touched? I guess that's built into Formic. Yeah, I don't know why. This has to be something with TypeScript. The reason I'm getting some squigglies. Type unknown. Values must have type unknown. I see. Okay. Well, it's just a string. Can I just type string right here? I don't think that works. So I'm still learning TypeScript, so I got to figure out exactly. So you can see our functionality is working, but TypeScript is barking at us a little bit. I'm going to ignore that red squiggly for the moment and see if we can beat the clock and get this change going in both directions. So I've got a my field. It takes the value from A and puts it in B. What I want are two different such fields that are taking input from each other. Just putting a couple of comments in here before I forget.
So are they using this touched as the switch you were talking about? So
That's the way, yeah, that's the way I'm currently interpreting it.
So if B is not touched, update A.
Yeah.
And if A is not touched, update B. Or no, am I saying it correctly?
Okay. So let's say, so now let's accept two properties. You see, the thing I'm confused about is I don't see where text A is getting to this my field component. Okay. Look at in the my field component, I say, yeah, prop is text B, fine. And I send that along as the target field name, and I can access that. But how does this my field component know about text? Oh, it must be because of Formic context. Okay. The reason it's able to know about that is because of this context we create. Okay. Okay. So let's put both of those back in the context. And yeah, you're right. If, oh, this is just a use effect dependency array right here. Right. Okay, so let's bring these things back with the B's. And let's just write a different if. Yeah, Martin, like you're just saying, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Add a different
Yeah.
if the other way around. Yeah, then you have the touch protecting you from doing the looping.
And then we're going to say, let's just call this one text B is the field we want to set. We're not going to pass it as a property anymore. Yeah. Could that work? Use field. Right, we can still, we can still say the field that we are targeting is the props. That's good, because that allows us then to say, yeah, my field with the target name file, which is updated. I don't know if this is going to work, but I kind of want to try it. Let's
Fingers
see.
crossed.
There's probably some bugs still to squash, but let's find out. 1, no, it doesn't work. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite. Okay.
I think we're close, man.
I think for the sport of it, I would just be really fun to have this working, you know, and still be within the official live coding time. So let's see.
You got 10 minutes.
Oh, I just used an if here. What if I use an else if? I'm not quite doing it. Next in text B. Touched. We look at the values changing. We create a context. You see, what I really need to do is read more about formic context. How exactly does that work? All right. So here, everything is imported that we're using except for use field. Use field is just above, and we could read about that too. But how does the context work? We create a context right here. And the one we created is a tiny bit more complicated than that. All right, and you see, you read this example right here. Has anybody ever had that experience of like, you finish typing and the form submits automatically? This is what that example is showing us. Values and submit form. If values.token length is this, we just submit the form. That's pretty cool. That's good to know about. Okay. But down here, what I'm really interested in, auto submit token can just be called like this. And where am I accessing that context? I have a formic with initial values that has this value inside of it, token, and that's passed like that. Field name. Use field. Well. Oh, wait a minute, we're getting close. See what's happening here? Now it's working, it's still working in one direction now.
Very, very close, yeah. It's somewhat working in the other direction.
I know it's like, it's getting stuck. It keeps pulling back to A. Oh, so how do I untouch? It's basically, oh, check this out. Okay. I don't have a way of untouching an object. That's what I need. If we can just figure out what is this touched state anyway? Formic touched. Let's look up that in the docs as well. Because that might be the final key here. Formic touched. That field touched. We're getting close.
Can you console log those values when you go into the use effect so you can
That's
see
a good idea.
if
Yeah,
they're
let's do
both
that.
activated? Because I think, well, if you added one, the other one is not touched, but maybe what you're saying that you have to untouch, I was thinking that would be automatic.
Yeah, good. Good. So let's console log. Let's log it here before we start. Initial touched A. So just to get us started here, what will I now see? It's true all over the place. And it's
Wow.
it's spamming like crazy. Okay, it's undefined at first before I start typing stuff. See that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. And if I'm clicked in, but it hasn't changed anything yet. Oh, well, no, I'm not logging that. But yeah, once I start typing, now it goes crazy. And when I exit, now, okay, it becomes true upon that first exit. And now this is the weird behavior. If I go back in, right, now it works. Okay, so that's cool. It's changing A to touched true from undefined for the first time when I leave the form field. What I really want is I want it to change like that as soon as I touch the field, right? That's what I would rather have.
Can you set it back to false, maybe?
Right, and now that's what we gotta figure out. So that and touched A. That touched. It's either set field touched or set touched. Set touched. A lot of docs for this one, the set touch. Things that update touched. Things that update values. State. That field touch is touch. Set field touch. Set. Yeah, this is what we want. Set field touched. Let's try this. You see, this is that field touch. Do I have to say formic? That field value. I'm allowed to call that. Honor. That field touch. That field value is fine. That touch. Does that work? Yeah, this is, I'm not sure why. Touched. I'm playing around. Oh, sorry. I was playing around with set field touched right here, but for some reason can't find that name, even though that's the name I see in the formic documentation.
No, it's somewhere not in the. Because then you could set it to false, right?
If right, I'd be able to use it in both directions.
Because if you edit the other field, it's not going to false again, right? Okay.
Well, I want to play with all of that, but I don't even have access to the function in question yet.
Yeah.
So it's the problem I'm looking at right now. All right, okay, let's do one more thing. Let's just ask a question. What, see what happens. How can I use formic and React to build two mutually dependent form inputs? See if it gives us anything. Yeah. Here we go. To make the two fields dependent, enable reinitialize and on-chain in the format component.
But that is totally different.
I really like trying things first before I ask a question like this, you know, just to compare, see what we get. All right, this is a different approach, but there's our friend set field value, right? We know about that part. On change. All right, it says we've used the on change prop in age field to update age itself and this other field when this one is changed. That feels like a more elegant solution than we were
That's
just
way
messing
simpler.
with. But it doesn't, and I guess, right, we could make this bi-directional. Come this far. Hey, I know we're over time. I'm gonna keep messing around with this for a few more minutes, just because it'd be fun to see this work. But if you got to jump, see you soon. All right, so this is actually not using any of the hooks, which is kind of interesting to me. All right. I'm going to take everything we've done here. We're going to have some nested comments, but just because this is playground, I'm going to leave that down below. First option explored on 2023-05-04.
Oh, this will be available in the playground.
Bingo, that's right.
Nice.
But let's do a quick and dirty implementation. Let's just see what happens. So it says that let me just build a different component without any properties. This one. And it's simply going to return something. And let's make it return this thing. And this is kind of interesting. There's no problems here. If I just grab this directly as it is. And so now it says, okay, within our formic component, we can add some additional validation stuff. So yeah, we've got initial values here. That's good. And we've got on submit. But we might also want some validation in there. So I'm going to add the validation. And we create initial values. Why is this complaining? problem with that one? Size.age. That fixes that. It's our validation. Then we want to wrap this form like this. That's pretty elegant. So there you go. How's that look? Nice. Well, hey, there's more to do here. Is it okay if I push this to the playground and let people play with it from here?
Yeah, sorry for finding another complicated one.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Like this has nothing to do with writing smart contracts, right? But you can imagine all sorts of applications where it's helpful to be able to pass information back and forth this way. So this is a good exercise for us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I like seeing, maybe it's not, yeah, if you're prepared, it is always you see it's very slick, but then you don't see how people work, and
Yeah.
something to learn from that as well, I think.
Bingo. Oh, dude. I mean, we're thinking a lot about how do you graduate from PPBL? And more, I think, I hope that in the 300 level, we can all have a chance to maybe share something we're working on. You know, it's just some kind of work in progress. Cool. This still isn't bi-directional yet, but it does work in that one direction. And this is that key thing on change. Actually, I could probably just add that. Let's do that. Let's see real quick. Now that we're here, let's just add an on change to this one.
But you don't have the reinitialize one in here. Is that not necessary?
Reinitialize. Right. Where is reinitialize called again, though?
It's not on your.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, let's see. Let's see. And I'm gonna leave this like this, except I just gotta swap here and here. I could come up with better names for these. And let's just make this one set the other one to E target value times 2. And let's make this one divide by 2. See if that works. $100. There it is. From 100 to 50. From 450 to 225. What about the other direction? 300 to 600.
Whoa,
There it is. That's a conversion rate.
oh my God.
All right. So now you take
Yeah,
form right here and you replace these values with API values from, a market aggregator, and you've got a little conversion form.
okay, man,
Not bad.
it
All
works.
right. So what do? We waded through the documentation for about an hour, and then we asked ChatGPT a question that we didn't have before reading the documentation. We used its solution, and it worked pretty quickly. Right.
So what is the actual magic that,
What is the lesson we learned today? But it was figuring out what the question was, and I'm happy I spent time reading the docs first and looking, having some hypotheses about set field value, and it makes it make much more sense what we have going on here.
oh, that is the set field value.
Yeah, so we did experience set field value a little bit in the documentation, but this is a nice little nudge of how to use an arrow function in on-chain. And this is what I was failing to do before. I tried to do this, but I forgot the E right here, and I wasn't getting anything to work. So what I learned is that, okay, I need to remember to use the event handler and target value.
Oh, so close.
So close. Hey, listen, that's pretty cool. All right, so gonna right away stop this server, add this to the playground. Live coding 2023-05-04. Build a form. Build a form with dependent components. Push that up. Live coding demos. There we go. All right, that's in the playground now. That's pretty fun. There's no styling there. People can just take that and do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, man. Cool.
Rock and roll. Good question. I haven't looked back at the Miro to see if people added anything else there. No, good for today. We'll take it. All right, well, module 204 will be released on Monday. It's the last 200 level module, and that gives all of us time to just work at whatever pace we can to get through those BBKs. And I'm starting to get excited about what's going to happen when it comes to specializing, but more on that next week. It's going to be fun. I appreciate the extended session.
Yeah, me too.
All right, see you soon. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.